Finally made it back to Fort Lauderdale from NAB, and I am excited to be home. But I had a great week at NAB, met a bunch of amazing creators, saw a bunch of really cool products. So in today's video, I want to discuss the few products that I saw at NAB that really stood out to me, because out of everything, I mean, this was a pretty huge camera convention, especially for camera nerds like myself. I just love it. So I got to see a few really cool products from companies like Blackmagic, Aputure, Core. And so we'll discuss what I liked and what I see the future in some of these companies are in today's video. So let's get on the bike and go through the Riverwalk, shall we? So this year, I actually stayed with Josh Satin and Tyler Edwards, and we had a cool little crew going on for our NAB excitement this year. Josh and Tyler showed me around, as this was my first NAB, although I've been to CES a few times before. And it was really cool to meet a lot of the reps from various companies like Core, Aperture, Blackmagic, Laowa, and really put a face to a lot of the names that I've seen. And likewise, I got to meet a lot of really cool creators that I didn't really anticipate seeing at the show this year. And it was really cool to meet everybody, to kind of, likewise put a face to their name, have them put a face to my name. And it seemed a lot of people actually recognized me from the Red Komodo videos I did years ago when the camera first came out, where I went to the Star Trek Axanar Bridge, did some of those comparisons with the Pocket camera. But it was cool to see, This thing was a whole constant reminder that a lot of us creators are watching other creators' videos. I mean, I certainly do. And you just never know who's watching. So it's cool to see who is and kind of get to discuss it in person. It's funny, Josh actually warned me about this, and I brought my FX30 and full setup to NAB, and I ended up not using it. I just used the Pocket for most of the videos. So kind of a lesson for next year. So when I got to NAB, the first instinct was to check out the Blackmagic booth, but I figured it was going to be completely bonkers, and it was. So I ended up going over to the Aperture booth to see what they had going on. And man, Aperture has really transformed as a company. It's funny to see how they were over 10 years ago, and they were really more for the content creators, and they still are, except for now, they're being used in high-end Hollywood movies. We ended up going to their super secret film dinner, where they got to show us a lot of their plans and software they're working on with not just their lights, but the ability to control lighting systems from other companies through DMX. I mean, I'm certainly going to be buying the SIII Pro and have the ability to control some of my older DMX lighting that's RGB through their system wirelessly. It's pretty freaking sweet. I wish I took more video from Aputure's dinner, because it was at a really cool place. It was at VU Studios in Las Vegas, and there's actually one here in Florida in Tampa, and they're a big virtual production studio, which made sense with Aputure showing all of their virtual production equipment. In the studio, Aputure showed us that they have this new system coming out with the SIII Pro, where you can put a picture on the program and then put the lights in certain areas, program them in the actual app itself, and then the lights will actually try to replicate what kind of lighting is used in that scene. So the two really big uses for this is going to be obviously virtual production on the LED walls. That's going to be huge. But another thing that they didn't really mention as much that I see this being really big on is the ability to actually use it for green screen lighting, because in a lot of situations, you're lighting your green screen, or especially if people don't know exactly what the end scene's going to be, you're not lighting it exactly how you would want it, especially when you get into post. But now, if you kind of know what the end scene's going to be, you can put the scene in this program, and then if you have RGB lighting, even CCT lighting, you can have the actual lights where they're going to be, and they'll try to replicate the best lighting to make that scene look as realistic as possible, which is really, really cool. So I can't wait to see this product when it comes out. I'm definitely going to experiment with it a lot on the green screen. The next company is going to be Blackmagic. Now, I think a lot of us heard about all this buzz from Blackmagic with the whole PYXIS camera, the Ursa Cine 12K. They dropped a lot of bombs right before NAB. So I went to go over to Blackmagic's booth to check out the PYXIS camera and the 12K. And the more I got to actually mess with the PYXIS, I realized that it's a camera we've all seen before. When it comes to the image quality, when it comes to the frame rates, all that seemed to be exactly the same as what we had before on the Blackmagic cinema camera 6K. But what was different was really the modularity and the IOs that you can get in that camera. So obviously it's more of a box camera, so you can put it in different situations. Like if you're a gimbal operator, that's going to be better for you. If you're trying to build the camera up, making it modular is going to be bigger for you. So the two really big takeaways I had with this camera is that it's a lot more modular than prior Blackmagic cameras. And then the second reason you may get a PYXIS over the actual cinema camera 6K would be the fact that you're going to buy this new Ursa Cine 12K and you want to have other cameras in your ecosystem that maybe aren't quite as expensive, or you don't need the 12K resolution. The PYXIS is quite a lot cheaper than the Ursa 12K. The 12K is sitting at around 15,000, where the PYXIS is around 3,000. So, you know, have a 12K as your A camera, have one or two PYXIS as your B and C camera. You can get a lot done with that Blackmagic ecosystem. So just prior to NAB, Core released this new power delivery system, Power Delivery Pro, I believe it was called, where it's a locking power delivery plug. And it does a lot more than power delivery, even though some of their batteries are still going to have generic power delivery. They let you charge in 100 watts, which is insane on shoots. It saves me from having to bring a big actual V-mount charger. The PD Pro really stole the show because it's a locking power delivery port. So if you accidentally yank the cord or whatever it may be, you're not going to actually lose power to your devices. It's going to lock it in there. In Core's newer Nano battery, they actually have regular power delivery and not PD Pro, but you still get the benefits of power delivery minus the locking mechanism. So for Komodo users like myself, it seems like at least for now, that's what we're going to be getting. But if you're getting some of their bigger V-mount batteries, then yeah, you'll be getting the power of PD Pro and you won't have to worry about anything getting yanked out of the actual port itself. Core also had this new magnetic locking battery system that literally stacks the charge, meaning that you have one 49 watt hour battery and you need to add more power to it. You literally stack the next battery on top and the power gets transferred throughout all the batteries, even if it's plugged into the bottom battery in the system, which is great. You know, powering monitors, powering cameras, powering anything that needs the new PD Pro or D-Tap, P-Tap, same thing. You can get that with this new battery system. And that's why they stuck out to me at the show this year, because it was an innovation on their part that even though it was announced before the show, it was really cool to be able to see it in person. The last booth that stuck out to me was the Laowa booth, where they had a lot of their anamorphic lenses and newer zooms on display, including their new anamorphic zoom. And that lens, let me tell you, is pretty freaking cool. I got to play with it on a Komodo X, and the fact that you can now have a pretty decent quality anamorphic zoom in a really super small and compact lens is pretty awesome. So it was nice to be able to see it in person, because Tyler did some marketing videos for Laowa. He did like a little short whiskey film with Josh actually. And they put it together and it looked really great. And the fact that you can have all these focal lengths in one lens and it's still anamorphic was pretty cool. I think the only downside to it was that it's Super 35. So if you're a Komodo shooter, Komodo X, not really a big deal. But if you're shooting in full frame, well, I guess at least for now, there's really not an option for you in this anamorphic zoom world. But it's nice to see that these things are coming out, because it just shows us where the future is going. Then I got to see some of Laowa's other lenses. They've got some cool Ranger lenses coming out that are not anamorphic, but are really just good quality small lenses. I've been really interested in Laowa for a bit. I actually just picked up their probe lens finally after years, and I've been using it for some product shots, which I'll have some videos on soon. I ended up picking it up on the Borrow Lenses sale and getting a crazy steal deal on it, which I've had my eye on this lens for so long, but the price for how often I was going to use it kind of just precluded me from actually getting it. But now I'm actually in for it. So I'll be doing more content on that lens soon. But those were the 4 companies that really stood out to me this year as companies that had some really cool stuff on display at NAB. For my first year at NAB, I think it was pretty successful. I got to really connect with a lot of cool creators, and to all of you I saw, it was amazing seeing you, and I hope to see you guys again in the future. But it's starting to get pretty crazy here. I'm biking back home here in downtown Fort Lauderdale, so I'm gonna get back on the road. So I do want to thank you all for joining me in today's video. I hope I was able to spread some knowledge on what I saw from NAB 2024. If you have any questions about things I didn't go over, make sure to ask in the comments below. And if you got knowledge and value out of today's video, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to keep up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Until next time, my name's Chef Fagien. I'm heading into downtown. I gotta see this view coming up, so I'll see you all in the next video, but I'll leave you out on this.